Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brandon, your trusted realtor, and I'm coming to you with another great episode full of information and really more so this time, a different type of let's talk discussion. Today, I was reading an article about a lawsuit that's occurring against a brokerage company. And this particular brokerage company is being sued for fair housing violations. So you ask yourself, what's fair housing and why is that important? So really quickly, let's talk about that. Fair housing is a law or a set of laws that actually protects you from discrimination in any shape, form, or fashion. It prevents someone from saying that you can't live in this neighborhood. It prevents anyone from making you feel uncomfortable. It prevents anyone from diverting you. And that even applies to real estate agents. In fact, real estate agents and broker companies should be at the forefront. We are like the tellers of fair housing because we are the ones who should make sure that community associations, we should represent you and your interests to the fullest. If you've seen my other videos, I've said that buyers, you're one of the most important people in this transaction because without someone who wants to buy a property, the rest of us, realtors, loan officers, mortgage officers, sellers, we can't do what we need to do, right? So it's important that there's no form of discrimination that occurs. And that's what fair housing does. It protects you and it protects your interests. Well, this particular brokerage company, Redfin, has, as of last week, a lawsuit was filed by the National Fair Housing Alliance, the National Fair Housing Alliance, and a group of other organizations, and they allege that if you live in certain non-white areas, you won't get certain suites of services that are offered by Redfin. And basically what this means is that Redfin, by what I've read, they have a suite of services that they offer, and that those services are available just really contingent on the price point and the locality of your property. One of the examples that they allege in the lawsuit that I'll talk to you about is that in November of 2018 in Baltimore, which is really why this stood out to me, is that only 6.84% of homes in extremely non-white zip codes were offered Redfin's quote-unquote best available services, a term that the lawsuit uses that refers to a comprehensive suite of Redfin offerings that include agents, discounts, refunds, and other perks. So basically, depending on where you are and where you live and your location, that dictates the services that you're offered. One of the reasons why this really resonated with me is because I was getting out of the car and I was talking to my mom, and someone was in my neighborhood, and they actually were in the area where I parked. So I was a little like, move. And the conversation shifted because he was like, hey, what do you know about this neighborhood? And so he was interested in the property. We began to talk about it because on my block, there's several homes that are for sale or that have sold. And so I just kind of went into a spiel talking about how the neighborhood and how great it is and this and the third. And as we were talking, his friend who was with him, who's, the co-pilot, she talked about how she purchased a home and she used Redfin and how that 1% commission meant the difference to her. And I talked to her about there's a reason that industries or corporations discount their services, and that usually is a representation. I told her that I don't discount my services. I offer things to my client as it meets their specific needs, whether that's a home warranty that I may cover for you because that's something that is needed part of the transaction, or a washer and dryer because the home doesn't come with that. It depends on the client and it depends on the case, but the offerings are different. If you have to discount it, you have to question why it's being discounted. And this really underscores that lawsuit. That also put me back to the days when I was not a real estate agent and I had just transitioned to I'm going to take a sip. Don't act like y'all ain't never got thirsty. I had just transitioned to the DC area, and I had solicited the help of a real estate agent. This real estate agent took us around, but I wanted to be in DC or right outside of DC in Virginia. We were in Clinton, we were in Wheaton, we were all over the places we didn't want to be. And I immediately knew, because I already worked in the mortgage finance business, that this agent was trying to put me in neighborhoods where she felt like other people like me should be. And I immediately ended that transaction with that agent and ultimately found some place that worked for me. And so this is an example. If I've been a victim of this, we all have been victims of this type of microaggression when it comes to working with a professional, which underscores the reason why that a lot of us are probably been scarred by our interactions with a real estate agent who wanted you to sign a 6-month agreement and only work with them exclusively, and you couldn't do any type of thing, do anything else with anybody else, or you felt like someone was trying to rush you into a transaction to make a decision and they weren't willing to answer your question, or your money was here and they just wanted to kind of push you there in order for and you felt like you were just being sold versus being helped, or you didn't feel like you had an advocate in the transaction. And this all underscores fair housing. This all underscores your rights as someone who is a buyer and as a seller, that you have to be cognizant of the relationship that you have with someone. And this article, to me, really, I felt underscore what we've talked about and what I talk about on this channel, which is that you are the most important. This is a significant transaction that you make. And this article that I'm reading really underscores the fact that there's inconsistencies in the business model within this brokerage company. And I think one of the quotes here from the brokerage owner was that, we have to pay our agents a living wage. Well, at the end of the day, I feel like I wake up every day as a real estate agent realizing that I'm unemployed and I have to convince you out there in the ecosystem to use my businesses, that I have the knowledge and the skills and the abilities to help you navigate this transaction. And there are some days where I reach out and follow up with people and they're just like, hey, I decided to go with somebody else. Even though I still see you on my channel, but that's fine. Or there are other days where people are just like, hey, I absolutely want to work with you. And that is just back to back to back. But at the end of the day and every day, you have to offer value to people. You have to be offering services. And I want to be the person who offers you that services now, regardless, before you are $100 million client. I want you to know that you have that stable source and that reliable, consistent person. And I like to be consistent in my business models through my transactions. And so when I read this article, it was really frustrating to me, because fair housing is something that we all should take as a very serious issue when it comes to the real estate transaction, because this not only impacts where you live, this impacts your families. Think about when you live in a home or community. If any of you all are familiar with DC, you basically have to go to school in your local area where you're zoned. If you have a real estate agent that's directing you to certain areas and you have little ones on the way and they don't care about your long-term or life plan, that has a real terminal impact on you, right? That has an impact on your family value. That has an impact on your family structure. And this is, for me, I'm just passionate about it. And I think that we all should be passionate about it. So I'll end it there. I wanted to just kind of bring that to you guys today. This is our case study, our fun fact, and the importance of fair housing. So again, my name is Brandon. I'm your trusted realtor. Make sure you stay tuned in tune to the latest and greatest realty here in DMV and everywhere else. Take care. I'm your trusted realtor, and we'll talk soon.